Thank you so much. Can the clerk call, roll call, please?
Supervisor Curl,
Here.
Councilmember Aranda,
Here.
Councilmember Morales.
Okay, since we're all here, thank you so much for adjusting the schedule today for this time. We very much appreciate staff and our board members. Can I get an acknowledgement of certificate of posting? So moved. Can I get a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's a 3-0. Minutes. So our next item is minutes from February 26, 2025 and March 18th, 2025 meetings. Does the members have any edits or concerns? Nope.
I have
Any-
none.
Any comments from the public on minutes? Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, 3-0. Okay, staff announcements.
All right. Before I call up our first announcer from staff, I would just want to remind you all that a couple of you have other meetings to get to, and so we want to be mindful of that time, and that's for our staff as well. I'd like to call up Frankie Sanchez, our illegal dumping and recycling coordinator.
Good afternoon, local task force. My name is Frankie Sanchez. I'm the recycling coordinator for integrated waste management, and I'm here to deliver some updates for Q2 general updates and upcoming events. So for grants this quarter, we submitted the annual report for the City County Payment Program, CCPP, which we were awarded about $26,000 for. Next, we also turned in the application for the OPP fiscal year 25-26, we're turning that in this month, and then the annual report for last cycle is due in August, and so we're also going to be working on that in the upcoming quarter. SB 1383 local assistance grant through Cal Recycle. Progress report was submitted on April 1st, we were granted $269,157 for. And then finally, the Mattress Recycling Council pilot grant. Work's completed with that, and the final report was submitted on May 30th, and so working through the final steps with the grant manager on that one. General updates for Q2. We had Earth Day on April 19th, downtown Hollister, which was a fun celebration. There was about 400 attendees. We had about 30 tabling partners, and so it was great to see the community come together to celebrate Earth Day and just share with the community different ways you can be more sustainable. And then I did want to say thank you to Supervisor Curro for showing some support and being out there and helping do the art poster contest announcements, and then Councilmember Aranda as well, because he showed up very early and was there helping set up and tear down, and so huge thank you to everyone who showed up to support, and I hope you guys all had a good time. It was kind of awesome to see everybody there and enjoying themselves. Let's see, so every quarter we have a monthly household hazardous waste event, or actually every month we have a household hazardous waste event at the landfill, and so this quarter we had one in April and one in May. We've also been going to farmers markets. The past 2 farmers markets that we've been to, the first one we were promoting Earth Day, and then the second one was the household hazardous waste education. For the May one, we were talking to people about how to properly recycle your hazardous waste, what events we have for them, and then we were also handing out LED light bulbs, and so I think we handed out about 45 LEDs that day, and we talked to about 35 different families about the different hazardous waste options they have for disposal. A couple more general updates is we had a composting workshop at Dunn Park in Hollister on May 18th. People come together just to learn a little bit more about how you can at-home compost and be a little bit more sustainable, reduce your waste at home, which is always good. And then as well, we also offered school edutainment offerings. These have been going on since last year, but they kind of finished up within this quarter. And so it was Point Blue Conservation and Save the Whales that were going out to different elementary schools, teaching them about littering and illegal dumping, how it affects the environment and human health and safety and whatnot. And they had little activities that they did with the kids. And I got to attend a few of those, and it's just always great to see how cheerful the kids are to learn about how they can be more sustainable in their communities. Also, we had a recycle day on May 10th. Here at the recycle days, we take in household hazardous waste, electronic waste, mattresses, and tires. And then we also did LED light distribution at this one as well. We kind of have a lot of LED lights, so we got to get those out. But pretty average participation at this one. It was Mother's Day weekend, and so we kind of attributed it a little bit lesser participation to the holiday. But we had 75 participants, 55 from Hollister, 4 from San Juan Bautista, and 16 from the county. And then at this event, we also distributed 102 LEDs, which was kind of a lot. Another update is we had a community cleanup in San Juan at Luck Park again. Speaking with Caitlin from City of San Juan, she said that this one we had the most participation at this one. There was only 7 people, but they still did a great job at getting around town. I think they mentioned they went to Anzar Road, Searle Road, and downtown San Juan. And so those are some of the areas in San Juan that can use the cleanups. And so always great to get out there. But they always do some great work out there, even though it's a small group. Some upcoming events that we have. Saturday, June 14th, which is this weekend, we have a community cleanup at Veterans Memorial Park. In the packet that we handed out earlier is the master calendar for the cleanup list. And so you'll find information for this one, but also the ones that are coming up in the future. We also have our quarterly bulky item event at John Smith Road Landfill coming up at the end of the month. So June 28th and 29th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Every third Saturday of the month, we have our household hazardous waste event, also at the landfill from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then we also have some upcoming compost workshops. And so this Saturday is another one of them. Theme is going to be vermicomposting, which is kind of fun, which just means worms and dirt turning food back into soil and nutrients for the garden and whatnot. But there's a couple other ones like hot composting in backyard bins. And so if any of your constituents are interested in learning about how they can reduce their waste and be more sustainable at home, these are a great way to learn how to do so. And then moving on to some illegal dumping program updates. Gonna keep it kind of brief, but as I mentioned before, the MRC grant work concluded, and so turned in the final report for that. So waiting to hear back from the grant manager to see if there's any final edits or anything that we need to make. But great opportunity for San Benito County to be able to get the word out about some illegal dumping programming. They also helped fund some signs in different programs. And so it was just a great opportunity for us to work with statewide program and get some funding for the program and implement it. And so that was great. And then illegal dumping reports for Q2, we only had 12, which is kind of on the lower end. I could have put some more data as to like what the previous quarters looked like, but contributing some of the less dumping that we've seen in recent months, maybe to some of the work that we've been doing with the Mattress Recycling Council and just getting the word out about what programs and services are available to different people. I was kind of surprised to see that there was only 12 illegal dumping reports in the county. And so just wanted to point that out. And then also 0 in San Juan still. So keep up the good work over there. But yeah, I believe that's it. And I'll go ahead and call Catherine back up.
Before we do local task force members' announcements, I want to acknowledge that we did see Councilmember Morales at Earth Day as well. So thank you for coming out.
And just so the public knows, that since these are announcements, there is no public comment on this item or item 3.
Do you have any questions? Okay, then we're on.
Are there any
Okay.
questions from members on any of these events or updates? I don't have any. I'm good.
Then we'll move on to IWM local
Yeah,
task
that's
force.
going to be, that's coming after presentations, number 5.
Then we can move on to local task force member announcements. That's you.
Do we have any announcements from local task members? Besides the event, my only announcement was it was a great event. It was a beautiful day, lots of participation. little less than what we had last time, but I think that was because of Mother's Day. But I appreciate everybody being out there and all the staff's work. Okay, any other comments? No? Okay, so we're gonna move on to item 4, which is public comment. Would you guys like to do the announcement on the public comment? Because, yeah, thank you, because you have a whole list here, and normally I don't say that. So you have fun with that public announcement there for public comment.
The Integrated Waste Management Local Task Force encourages your participation at this meeting and welcomes your comments. Speakers are requested to state their name prior to speaking to the committee. Not more than 3 minutes may be allotted to each speaker and no more than 20 minutes to each subject unless otherwise extended or limited by the chair. A speaker's allotted time cannot be deferred to another speaker. Committee members may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2. No action or discussion shall be undertaken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. If appropriate, the chair or any committee member may direct that a matter be referred to Integrated Waste Management staff for review. If you are participating on Zoom, select the Participants tab and click the Raise Hand icon. If you are using a phone, press *9 to raise your hand. When your turn arrives, you will hear that you have been unmuted. At this time, state your first name, last name, and county you reside in for the record. And we do have one public comment in person, Elia Salinas.
And I just want to clarify, this is for public comment for items not on the agenda. We will open public comments on the items as we go to them. So this is items not on the agenda. She knows the rules.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I didn't know you were having this meeting, then I saw it and it said task force on there. So I'm like, and you just finished the budget hearing? So my question, I understand that San Benito County Board of Supervisors has an ad hoc committee for the landfill regarding, you take it and then you take it to another place? Thank you, transfer station. So I don't know where the status is because the ad hoc committee, there's been other things going on. So I'm just wondering if this task force, because I'm not aware whether this task force also works with the ad hoc committee, and as well as, is there any movement forward so that we could get some revenue at the landfill with regards to possibly bringing back an extension of the landfill contract with Waste Connections? Not sure if this is the appropriate place to bring it up, but I thought since this is regarding the landfill and management of the landfill, I would bring it up. And there was a government code that your clerk mentioned earlier, and there's a sentence there that I would love to be included, get a copy of that, because that's not adhered by the normal chair of the Board of Supervisors, having a conversation back and forth. So I really like that language, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to clarify, the ad hoc that's been put together by the Board of Supervisors is separate from this local area task force. If staff would like to kind of define, we had a meeting about it to understand, because we are not part of any decision-making on a landfill expansion. That is not what the role of this task force, so Selena, would you like to
Sure.
comment?
So the county does have a sanitary ad hoc, which is, as Elliot mentioned, is discussing the transfer station, a potential landfill expansion at a reduced size, as the applicant, Waste Connections, also the landfill operator, has expressed further interest in exploring an expansion at a smaller scale. That will be likely a presentation to the board in August or September as a follow-up to our, I believe, is it March presentation. However, this local task force did request a presentation related to landfill disposal capacity, as that is a concern for and a topic of interest for the cities and the county. So that presentation will be on December 8th for a Q4 meeting.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. And I appreciate the question, so thank you. So we're going to move on. Is there any other public comments for items not on the agenda?
There are no more public comment.
Okay, great. And so we're going to move on to item number 5, which is presentations, and discuss these items. This is number 1 is receive presentation on Recology San Benito County Quarterly Update on Fiscal Year 25-26 Public Education Plan. And number 2 is going to be review the Integrated Waste Management Regional Agency Quarterly Expenditures. So I'm going to turn it over to staff.
I'd like to bring up Adrian Sagoon, Zero Waste Manager with Recology.
How's everybody doing? Good to see you. Remember how to use a computer here. So yeah, I'm here again. My name is Adrian Sagoon, Zero Waste Manager with Recology. I feel like it's been a while since remembering how to do this again. So I'm here to report on basically the first quarter of 2025 and the highlights that we've had. So for the first quarter, obviously one of our big focuses is diversion. And in Hollister, our overall diversion for the first quarter was 40.61%. San Juan Bautista, always leading the pack, right? 53.99%. Unincorporated San Benito County, 30.54. I know you made a comment about that last time. But, and then altogether, all inclusive, we're looking at 38.17 as our total diversion rate. So highlights for residential, in the first quarter, we continued, and kind of going into the second quarter, continued tagging for high contamination, letting the residents know, sending out print and digital ads, both as bill inserts and our social media presence. We get quite a big response on social media, and that's been growing. Val, who is not here, has done a really great job as increasing our following and views and stuff like that. So we have quick responses to customers. Obviously, we're trying to make sure that our customer service is having a really quick response to any phone calls, either from them or from IWM when we get calls from them. And again, newsletters that we put out with any pertaining information, and also not just giving the bad news of tagging people that are doing things wrong, but highlighting also things that are going right in the community, people that are doing things the correct way. For our commercial clients, our Waste, which is the focus of my team, the Waste Zero team, we've had increased up to 203 site visits just in the first quarter. The goal obviously being 800 in a year, so we're working to increase that number. 102 waste assessments that's going in and actually sitting and assessing what's going on and how their diversion is, where diversion can be increased with these, speaking with the businesses. We had 3 new organic starts and 11 new or increased recycling accounts. Our member agency departments, most are in the 75% diversion range, so that's a good thing to see that our member agencies are really on top of doing things correctly. Our compliance of AB 1826 is at 100% still. SB 1383, we're continuing early compliance. We're seeing really positive response when we talk to businesses. We have the what's the word I'm looking for? We have, being a rural county, San Benito County, rural exemption. There it is. Thank you. And then AB 341, mandatory recycling, we're at 100% compliance with all the businesses on that. Community events and outreach. Obviously a picture of San Juan Bautista Arts and Crafts, since you're leading the way, the numbers. We have our environmental days where we had one in January, we had 2 in January, and then we do one at Brigantino Park, and then we have another one the following weekend, following Saturday in San Juan Bautista at the school. And then we just had this past weekend, San Juan Bautista, on the weekend prior, we had one at Brigantino Park, and we've seen the numbers increase quite a bit. So we see a lot of people taking advantage of the paper shredding that we do, bringing in e-waste, and collecting compost, so which is another good opportunity to teach all of our clients when they see the compost, where do you get it from? And well, we get it from you, right? It's your green bin, and when you do it right, it turns into, this great compost for your garden. Again, we have presentations for our education, Save the Whales presentations continued through this year, through the first quarter and going into the second quarter. Also, poster contest workshops with El Teatro Campesino. We had worked on a bulky item pickup video with IWM to post on social media. Again, just more awareness of bulky items to help decrease the Frankie stress, the illegal dumping. We have a cart hanger pilot also that we started with IWM. I believe Frankie showed a picture of that, where we're going around bright and early in the morning and then letting people know about our free bulky item pickup. We had our STEAM Expo. We were there again, educating the kids so they go back and let their parents know that they're doing it wrong or that they're doing it right, either way. Also Youth Expo, and then the Arts and Crafts Festival. As you see, this is a picture of the Arts and Crafts Festival where we educate the public as they're there on our 3-stream system. In the first quarter, our in-kind services donations was a little more than just over 4,208. That's a pretty accurate number, actually. It's probably about exactly that. And then I guess moving on to the next subject is our public education plan moving forward to 2025-26. Just making slight adjustments in general. Our new theme is going to be based on general waste reduction and increased diversion from John Smith Road landfill. We're looking for help on our new theme. I know the past theme was Keep San Benito Bonito. So you'll be hearing from us soon, IWM, to get some votes on the upcoming theme, or tagline at least. So we're gonna just continue to promote recycling right winners. Again, focusing on not just tagging people doing it wrong, but making sure that we're celebrating those who are doing it right as well. Build and work with strategic partners. Again, and then like in residential, we're looking to promote special programs with emphasis on like the free bulky item collection. That's been a big focus just starting out, even moving on from last year into this year. Again, to help keep Frankie sane. And then we also want to continue with NCT improvements, the lawn collection tagging, and then also social media, just regarding common contaminants, upstream activities, and then just really promoting our free events. And we do a lot of cross-promoting. A lot of the flyers, I believe you have some of the flyers from other free events that IWM puts on. When we have our events, a lot of times, the public will, I guess, confuse the two agencies. I take it as a compliment that we work well together. And we'll make sure to hand out, we have those flyers and everything to hand out about other events as well. Again, for commercial, just continuing to focus on larger quantity generators with increased site visits, promote the county's green business certification program. MFD education, I know we're working on creating move-out guides so that when renters move out from these multifamily dwellings, that they're disposing of everything they have correctly. Our regional agencies, again, just working on a 3-stream collection at all applicable facilities, making sure that it's just commonplace wherever you go, that you see the 3. And then zero waste event planning packet that we have, putting that together and being able to distribute those packets to the public. Thank you very much.
So that is item 1, and I'd like to do public comment and bring it back and then do the next one with public comment, just so we keep the topics clear and we're not confusing the public. So this is for item 5.1. Is there any questions from members? And we can bring it back for discussion after if you want. Sure. Do you want to go now? Or after public comment? Okay, so let's bring it open to public comment on this one item, and then we'll bring it back for discussion.
There is no public comment.
Okay, great. That made it real easy. Would you like to start? It'll turn green.
Thank you for the presentation. So can you tell me a little bit more about your donations in terms of your in-kind services, the $4,000? What does that entail? How do you evaluate that?
So those are normally services that, so if somebody was having an event or doing a cleanup where they would order from us, they would order our either, roll-off bins or whatever the case, whatever they needed. So we donate that for different events. Those are donations that we've done. Or we've not only do we give the roll-off or whatever container it is, but we also pick it up and dump as well. So that's the donation, how it's calculated out.
Yeah, I think in the future, I'd like to see like what those events are.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that would be helpful. And then how do you evaluate like the impact to the environment through the various programs that you have? Is there a way that you're able to analyze and provide like something translatable to somebody walking from on the street? Would it be able to say like, we saved, I know that you have like the recycling pieces, but is there a way that we can translate that so that anyone walking out of the street can understand like the carbon footprint or I know that you have the diversion, but something where it's translating more into like the environmental science piece of it?
We don't have that. I mean, we focus more just on the diversion.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
Our green business program does do some metrics, and when a business applies to be a green business and they enter their current service levels with Recology, then whatever diversion occurs because maybe they downsize their garbage, increase their recycling, added organics, there are metrics that are calculated, and we have done case studies on businesses for those environmental metrics as well as cost savings. One example is Technova in Hollister, and they've saved $18,000 in like on a yearly basis by increasing recycling, adding organics.
Okay, that's helpful. Okay, I think those are all the questions I have.
That's great, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Other than thank you and great work.
Welcome.
I just want to clarify real quick. MFD, I'm not an acronym.
Multi-family dwelling.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. NCT,
Non-collection tagging.
non what?
Collection tagging.
Non-collection bank. I'm not a big fan of acronyms in presentations, just for future reference, because the general public just doesn't know these things. And then the STEM Expo. STEAM Expo. You guys discussed this previously, I think, at a prior meeting, but we weren't up here. Can you just give a little explanation about that?
So it's the science, technology, engineering, arts, math.
Right. How are you guys involved in that? I'm not seeing where they connect.
The arts. So we have the poster contest. So we promote the poster contest. So we're one of the few arts in that presentation. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Okay, that's great. I really appreciate that. So let's move on to item, unless there's any additional questions. We're good? Okay, we're gonna move on to item 2, which is review the Integrated Waste Regional Agency quarterly expenditures.
Before we move on to item 2, I just wanted to let you know that the public education plan is in draft format right now. We're reviewing it. IWM staff is reviewing it, and we intend to finalize it, but by July 1st. So if you all have any feedback that you'd like to give us before July 1st, we would really appreciate it. You can contact any of our IWM staff. Next, I'd like to bring up Selena Stotler, IWM manager.
Good evening, everyone. If we can pull up the presentation slides. Today, I am providing you with a summary of our regional agency expenditures to date as part of your quarterly review outlined in the cost sharing agreement. per the cost sharing agreement, this local task force reviews actual expenditures at least quarterly and makes recommendations to the governing bodies, City Council, Board of Supervisors, on any actual or anticipated over expenditures. And I'm happy to report we do not have any expected or anticipated over expenditures at this time. And you have been provided with this quarter's detailed general ledger report. It's approximately 20 pages. We did update it per the LTF's request and upon meetings with Angela Curro. Also provided is the budget performance report to date for this regional agency. And then lastly, you've been provided a sample. I thought I had a copy myself. It was yep, that's it, a sample outcome report. This is just one program example, so we look forward to your feedback, any suggestions on that report. And I believe there are some copies up here if anyone would like to grab any from the public. Okay. And also to note, these reports were pulled by our staff service specialist, Esme Gomez, on June 6th. So they're quite up to date. This slide provides a comparison of budgeted expenses for approximate total of 1.7 million to actual expenses to date at approximately 899,000. And you could see the breakup of service and supplies, salary and benefits. As for regional agency revenue, over 594,000 was budgeted for regional agency revenue and includes various grants awarded to the regional agency in addition to household hazardous waste and recycle day payments from Recology, our exclusive franchise hauler. The miscellaneous revenue listed here includes reimbursement payments from the Mattress Recycling Council and Med Project, which reimburses us for household sharps disposal program reimbursement. Any revenue received on behalf of the regional agency is deducted from grant or program-related expenditures. In other words, the county or the cities would not be billed for any associated grant cost. And that does conclude our quarterly expenditure update. I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, the reports have been provided to you and we can go into as much detail as you'd like on those expenses.
Okay, before we go into that, let's open it up to public comment and then we'll bring it back for discussion.
There is no public comment.
Okay, seeing no public comment, are there comments or discussion items? I know you guys are on time restraints, but I have a couple of things. So.
You want to go first?
No, it's okay. You feel free.
So I have a couple questions. So at our last meeting, we talked about vacant positions. So can you tell us where you are? Like what is your staffing level? Are you fully, like all of your FTEs are hired on? And then what happens and how? So at least I'll let you answer, sorry.
Yeah, so at this moment in time, we have a excess in temporary staffing budget. We had one temporary staff, Lori Tinkersley, our intern, phenomenal. Would love to hire her full-time here with our team, but she ran out of hours, and so we might be able to proceed with her into the next fiscal year. It all just depends on the county's how we progress with the budget with the county of San Benito. But it was recommended to include that exact same amount of funding, which I believe was $100,000 for temporary staffing. The other position that is currently vacant is our recycling coordinator, which we attempted 2 recruitments. One was for a recycling coordinator, and then we underfilled the second time for a staff service specialist. Unfortunately, even though the board had approved us to proceed with the hiring of that staff service specialist, administration has not let us move forward with the hiring of that position. And I think based on what was discussed today at the board, we're not going to foresee that position will be hired. But I am hopeful that it will be included in next year's fiscal budget. I believe it is. We did request as part of next fiscal year's budget an additional recycling coordinator limited term because we have almost $200,000 in grant funding unspent that needs to be spent by April 2026. And that position, unfortunately, was not included in the administration's recommended budget.
So that was my question, because normally when positions are grant funded or cost neutral to like San Benito County, it doesn't harm their budget to hire because they're getting reimbursed, I believe, at 100% of the cost. So what can this body do to make sure that those folks are hired if they're going to be reimbursed by grants? Or reimbursed by like the money that we put in?
I would defer to Chair Curro.
Well, we ended, just so you know, we've been in our first major budget hearing all day today, and it ended basically with a recommendation, if I'm understanding what they tried to do, is if it's a subventive fund, my recommendation was don't touch subventive funds. They have funds that come from other sources. If it's not a general fund, then we would not be worried about it. We're worried about general fund. They took a different position. Their position was that if it was a position that required a licensing or some sort of special training or certification in a subvented fund, that those positions would not be froze, but positions that are in subvented funds that could bump people if layoffs occur from general fund departments into those positions, that they want that to happen before we actually hire from outside. That's how it ended today. And
So I just want to make sure I understand what you said.
Okay.
They are freezing positions and leaving potential bumping positions open so that general fund codes can
bump into subventive fund open positions that are equivalent in qualifications and education, but they did not do that with subventive funds for positions that require certifications, that you have to be special certified, special training. Those will be able to be hired without having to be froze. They will not be frozen.
So I guess I would like to ask this body that we send a letter to the county, basically asking for these positions to be filled, the grant funds need to be spent, and the services need to be done.
I'm in complete agreement with that. If that's not breaking the agenda because we're doing it because of budget purposes, I would completely agree with that. I would also very clearly state what funding will be lost, what the funding does, what the position does. So if we can direct staff to draft that letter and authorize me to sign, if that's good.
Would that pose a conflict of interest?
Well, I can waive, you can be the signer.
No, I'm just asking. I don't
I don't
mind
know,
if you
because
sign.
we all fund. So what it would be is in that department, I would recuse myself from voting on that department. So if it came
Do
to
you want to sign it?
integrated waste, it would be,
Yeah. Why don't we have you do it?
is that okay? Yeah. I'm good with that. Yeah.
And if, and also,
Keeps it
so
clean.
one, that we want the positions to be filled and possible consequences as it relates to not utilizing the funds as an ongoing basis. Normally, people with grant funds, if you don't use it, they're not wanting to give you money to have you have it sit there versus somebody else who can actually use it. And especially right now with state and federal issues, it's going to be a little bit harder.
Yeah, this is funding that has already been received, and so it would have to be a payback to the state.
Let's make sure that's clearly written in the letter,
Mm-hmm.
my recommendation. And thank you for signing.
Yeah. So I had other questions. So thank you for this. Thank you, Angela, for working with staff. So the way that I read this is your average attendance is 75 attendees, and an average monthly cost of event is $11,000. So it puts you at $152.56 per person that attends the event. Do we have anything to compare that to? Is that
We can
normal?
certainly, actually, there was just a survey that went out to, it's called the Household Hazardous Waste Information Exchange Group through our Google groups. And so staff is asking, not this staff, but other jurisdictions are asking for jurisdictions to provide that type of data. And so I expect very soon that we'll have a lot of program data to compare with jurisdictions across the state. At this point, we can seek feedback and input from our neighbors like Monterey County, Santa Clara County, and have a comparison there.
don't compare them to Santa Clara.
Okay. I agree with that. Don't compare to Santa Clara.
So I guess I'm still looking for outcomes. I think, if you have like, an informational event, that's great. If you have like a recycling event that keeps things off the street, that has a higher value in my opinion, because that's, at least for my residents, that's what they care about. Like if I go around and there's mattresses in the alleyways, and those items could be mitigated by having these recycling events, or having a dumpster out there to be able to, just for people to do it. So those are things I'm looking for, like events equals outcomes, or events equals like something that we saved, the diversion pieces that you're talking about. I still like to see those pieces, because I wouldn't mind the cost if it actually meant like a great outcome. And I know education is one piece, but I still want to tie it to some kind of outcome. What are we doing? What are we accomplishing? How is it in terms of our strategic plan, in terms of how we want to move the needle forward? And then I would like to see, and I am being selfish,
It's okay.
for like the city of Hollister, would like to work more closely, and we have a high need, but I'm seeing that we're not utilizing the services effectively. I want to have a strategic plan in terms of like having very targeted outcome measures or events or people served. And so I'd like to see a little bit, like at least for the city of Hollister, that level of detail. Because then I can be a partner and help spread the word, or we can do something to help kind of accomplish those goals.
That's great.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, I agree in the sense that, one, I will say we are struggling budget-wise at the county level, but what we have to do is remind ourselves that this is a department that's funded and a task force that's funded by multiple agencies. I think we need to reiterate that in the letter. And the only other thing I would say is I think this is incredible information if you really want to know where all the expenditures are. This is very detailed, and I think for our colleagues that don't have access to this type of information, it's extremely valuable. So when you're looking at this detailed ledger report, you're literally looking at everything that's been posted by GL, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, by every GL for the entire budget. Now, the budget performance report, the only thing that I see here that's missing, and I know is the revenue projections from our approved budget. So if we could run this with the revenue projections, even though I know we're not necessarily going to have that money in our pocket, it's a conversation of, have we billed? Have they paid? Are we doing okay? Can we keep funding ourselves? I would just like to have revenue on there. Even if it's just showing that we haven't billed yet, and that when did the bills go out to each agency, and when do we expect it to be posted? Just, that's my only comment. Everything else, I really appreciate. I know we as a new task force are throwing a lot at you with a lot of kind of direct requests, but we thank all of you for working so closely with us. And if you need more conversations or one-on-one time with any of us, please let us know.
Thank you.
I don't believe there was an action item on any of this. This was all presentation, informational only. Let's open this up. We had no public comment on this. We already did that. I'm going through my checkoff list in my head, sorry. Is there anything else to add? Okay, anything staff would like to add before we adjourn?
No, just thank you so much for the feedback, helping us elevate the information that we provide to the public.
Thank you for all you do, and I am moving to adjourn, and it is 4:53, and you're out of here before 5. Congratulations, thank you.